Reminder out there to get those bids in for the best Final Fantasy. We have a $10 donation from Sparrow Mint that says, while stay away from the summoner, this is a pretty good laugh. Final Fantasy XIV is the best. We have $20 from Gratliff that says, been throwing money at Final Fantasy IV for 25 years, not gonna stop now. $20 from FFGamer86 that says, shoutouts to all the runners, participants, donators, and prize donators for all the contributions they have made to a successful marathon. It's amazing how a small community 6-7 years ago can grow into such a large movement that will hopefully one day end cancer once and for all. Good luck to No Cash on his Final Fantasy IV run, and best in Final Fantasy for me has to be Mystic Quest. Hope you all have a wonderful 2016. And we have $50 from MS Kane. Hey, GDQ runners. My friend Jinx Black introduced me to speedrunning in general, GDQ community in particular, about 6 months ago. And I'm very excited to finally have the opportunity to watch one of these great events live. I decided I had to donate during the run of my favorite Final Fantasy of all time, Final Fantasy IV. I wanted to donate to name the twins Hakuna and Matata because we need the heroes to scream no worries after they get stoned. But since it seems No Cash is only naming the final 5 and all the major goals have been met, put my donation toward Final Fantasy VI being the best Final Fantasy. 4 is my favorite, but 6 is the best, a clear distinction. We have $100 from Digital Badger that says one last donation to end off the marathon. It's great to see the event break 1 million yet again, as it's living proof that gamers can use their talents to save the world. I'm so proud of everyone coming together to bring cancer that much closer to game over. Best of luck to No Cash in his quest to destroy Final Fantasy IV, and I will see you all again at SGDQ 16. Stay fast, stay fabulous, Badger. $50 from Lapis that says, been looking forward to Final Fantasy IV all week. Good luck to No Cash. Demon Choco will rise again. We have $15 from Skate for a Living. Skate here. I think Final Fantasy XII is the best Final Fantasy of all time. Between great enemies like Dustia, Jellies, and a rogue tomato, you can't beat it. Good luck, No Cash. Make us proud.
No.
We have a $20 donation from Rosentia. Rosentia here. I know you thought, we can get rid ya, but no, you cannot. We're edging closer to the end, and you should seesaw. Cecil? The chances you have for a good run. We all rose again to the cause, and everyone will tell about how amazing this is. Thank you everyone for everything. Good luck, No Cash. This donation is for the Demon Rush being the best Final Fantasy. We have a $100 donation from Volshock Sorcerer Meant to donate during the Majora's Mask run, but I was barely keeping myself awake to watch the end of that amazing run.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Can you guys talk so I can hear you?
Hello, hello, hello.
Testing 1, 2.
It's fine.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Wanted to get my donation in now and put in my vote for Die Hard as the best Final Fantasy. No Die Hard % here tonight, folks.
Oh.
We have a $25 donation from Seiryu X. My last donation of AGDQ 2016. Thanks to all the runners, announcers, commentators, tech staff, volunteers, sponsors, and anybody else I missed for this awesome marathon. See you all at SGDQ 2016. P.S. Final Fantasy VI equals best Final Fantasy ever. $20 donation from Alurius. My second AGDQ and loved every second of it. My uncle lost his battle with cancer last year, and anything we can do together to stop it is worth it. Also, Final Fantasy IV is great, but if you swap those Roman numerals around, you get the number of the real best Final Fantasy. We have $100 from Mario Panaghetti. So you've gone and killed the animals. Thanks for creating a paradox for Metroid Fusion. And thanks for all the amazing work you've all done for preventing cancer. My sister kicked cancer in the face 5 years ago and is still going strong. We're very glad to hear that, Mario, and thank you for your donation. $50 donation from Hollander Cooper that says, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, my life as a king for the Wii Virtual Console is the best Final Fantasy game, and I will fist fight anyone who disagrees. Looks like we're getting about ready here.
Hope everyone can hear me. Hi everybody, before we get started, I'm No Cash. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and AGDQ for having me. Just a couple quick shout outs. I wanted to give a shout out to a couple people. One, the Roth, who is currently the world record holder for this run. He's out in Australia, so if you're watching, big shout out. Also to Nirm, a big runner for this game, and without those two guys, the run would not be where it is today, so I wanted to say thank you to those two gentlemen for challenging each other every day, and that's why the run is where it is today. Also, I wanted to say thanks to Catastrophic here. He's been with me since pretty much day one since I started running this, and so it's a lot of fun to be here. And obviously, Quexel for giving me a lot of good opportunities in the RPG community, and hopefully going forward. The last is the biggest thank you to a guy named Exodin, who actually created the route for this marathon run. Assuming that we hit all the incentives, which we did. So he put in some work to make this happen. So I want to say thanks to Exodin, and I can't not mention a guy named Myself086, who were a big part of the step route to make this game successful. So with that being said, we're going to talk about it a lot during the run, but I wanted to give those major shout outs to those few gentlemen. So with that being said, here we go. Are we ready? Okay. All right, here we go. Countdown in 3, 2, 1, go. Wow. So, I mean, we already did a little roll call, but we can do one again.
Oh, well, I'm Catastrophic 4.
I'm Poexel.
And this is Final Fantasy IV. Originally released as Final Fantasy IV in Japan, and when it was brought over to the States, it is Final Fantasy II. Don't ask me why. I'm sure these guys know, but it is my favorite RPG. Growing up, I played this game a lot, and I actually started speedrunning it because of a gentleman you may know as Brosentia. Shout out, Brosentia. I was just into cool glitches and stuff, and I saw him break the game a few years ago, you may remember, in SGDQ, doing the any % run, which we called Die Hard. So that really got me hooked. And I said, you know what, I can do this too, and sure enough, here I am today. So, yeah. The first thing that we're going to talk about a lot as far as this game goes is there's a lot of since the last time this was run, I would say there's like an hour's worth of new strats. Like, not literally, but there's quite a bit. And there's a lot of manipulation that's gone on, and we kind of figured the one thing that slows us down a lot in the game are encounters. After optimizing boss fights, encounters are what kind of slows us down. So the first, give or take 15-20 minutes, I'm going to be talking about or executing step route manipulation, which would be the first time shown off in this run in a large marathon setting. But I'll give you a basic rundown as best I can, and then I'm sure Puexel will give a much better explanation. But long story short, to manipulate encounters in this game, once you turn on the console, you may have saw me starting to do a bunch of resets and doing some manipulation. When the title screen pops up, whenever time you hit A, whatever frame you hit A on the home screen, that will actually lock a frame, which we'll call a seed, between 0 and 255, and that will tell you basically how many encounters you get in any given area, basically the start of the game. And the best way to explain it is that certain areas will increase your step counter. So for example, if I was walking here in Barren, there's certain steps here in Barren that if it was on the world map, I would be getting encounters. So what I did is I manipulated the game to hit seed 92, specifically to get started. So that way, all the encounters are pretty much right away at the start, where there'll be basically an encounter on step 50 in that seed, and there's 49 steps in Barren, so I'll be taking an additional step to avoid that encounter, and I'll have no encounters all the way through the first boss. That's a small explanation of how it works. A lot of coding and detail went into this, but I'll save that for if you guys want to talk to Exodin or myself 086. It gets quite complicated, but luckily I had Exodin get this route for me going, and I'll be able to use step manipulation if things go well the entire run. Not only does it help save encounters, but it helps find the grind fight towards the end of the game. The only time we'll ever do any leveling, that fight is random, but we've learned to manipulate it by doing certain steps. That being said, I'm sure Puexel can give a little bit better explanation.
Well, that was a great explanation. I mean, just the main thing I'd add is that every encounter seed in the encounter system for this game covers 250 steps, 256 steps of movement in areas that count on the step counter. And then for every 256 steps, there's approximately 8 encounters that are tied to specific steps. And if we know which seed we're starting on, then that can all actually be routed out. And like a typical run-through of this category, which we call any % no 64 door glitch, which if you saw Brosench's run from SGDQ 2013, he played the game as normal for about 2 hours until he got to the Dwarf Castle, and then did a series of basically raw memory corruption glitches in order to end the game directly from there without continuing the story. So this category, which was actually last featured in AGDQ 2011, the first AGDQ, just basically bans that one specific glitch in order to just let us play through pretty much the entire game as intended. Although we're going to be doing a lot of unintended things in the game too, in order to win fights low level. So just back to the seeds for a second. So when we've routed out and know which steps that the encounters are going to fall on, we can take advantage of that by, like you noticed a bit there ago, No Cash walked back after he stepped in that chair there. That advanced the step counter by 1 and then canceled an encounter that he would have gotten as soon as he left Barren Castle.
Yeah.
And because C92 is very heavily front-loaded in the 256 steps as far as where the random battles fall, he's missing all of them because they count when he's inside Barren Castle. So doing that lets him get all the way until all the way through the first dungeon, the Cave of Mist, with no battles at all. It probably saves about maybe 30 seconds on average over just starting with no manipulation.
It gets pretty confusing as far as what steps count and what ones don't. So for the example there, I use the chair as just a reminder, as an indicator, because in that room, all the other steps count towards your step counter, but that stool doesn't for some reason. So you can actually take it anywhere you want, but that's a good indicator for me to remember. but it gets pretty crazy throughout the run. There's a few castles that are like, I'll be counting steps and like, what is he counting? He's just walking. Because certain steps count towards your step counter and some of them don't. Doing that one step, cost me a split second, a half a second, less than that. But it saved an encounter, which could anywhere be between 8 seconds to 20 seconds if it's a back attack, which will also come up a lot in this game as well.
So we'll just kind of touch on the little nuances of the step manipulation as it comes up, but I'll just kind of close by saying that a typical run in this category, I'd say on average, has like about 150 random battles or so, give or take, maybe 10 or so, and then doing this manipulation for the full run can cut that to as low as like high 120s, low 130s, so that saves several minutes over the course of the run, along with guaranteeing what would otherwise be a really difficult bit of RNG when he gets to the Giant of Babel.
Hey, Velociraptor, just want a reminder for the names for Cecil and Kain, which we'll be doing right now.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the Cecil one is 7 characters for some reason, so you'll have to just kind of work around it.
No
Cecil's
worries.
gonna be Toji Sucks,
Okay.
and Kain will be Lemmy.
Shoutouts to the Kingdom Hearts community for pooling their resources behind a Final Fantasy name again this year.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's awesome. Like he said, we needed 6 characters, it's 7 characters, so I hope you don't... thank you for your donations. Hope it doesn't... probably gonna do TOJ sucks, so... Here we go.
So he cranked up the battle and message speed to the max, and is going to leave them there the full run. If people have seen like runs of Final Fantasy V or 6 where the battle speed is more of a difficulty setting that just affects enemies, in this game it affects you as well. Previous routes for this category involved slowing down the battle speed for certain fights, but we found enough strats and optimizations to the route to make that no longer necessary. And then this little visit to Baron is something he's just doing for the marathon in order to rename Cecil and Kain.
Yeah, with the step route being factored in, it's important we kind of mapped out where to name the characters, and also assuming the extra battles would have been met as well. So those are all mapped out specifically for step route. So if I'm doing them in certain areas, that's the reason why, which we'll be doing Rosa and Meridia in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's after the cutoff for that is going to be after No Cash defeats the Lion, which is roughly 30 minutes into the run. So get those donations in if you want to those names.
As you can see, some of the frustrating time is going through these, and it's constant battles. But luckily, no battles. That's the benefit of the manipulation.
Alright, so this is Mist Dragon, the first boss, which, like in the other Super Nintendo Final Fantasies, is kind of a tutorial in the active time battle system. Unfortunately, there isn't a method in real time to completely skip the dragon turning into mist for one cycle. So he's just going to get a couple rounds of attacks in, and then he's going to use an audio cue in the music to get Kain into the air at a timing when he'll land immediately after the dragon reforms. What he's really hoping he gets here too is critical hits by either Cecil or Kain, because that can potentially shave off a round from the battle. Alright, and then during this text message here, he's actually doing a bit of inventory manipulation as a setup for a glitch that he's going to be doing in the very near future. Average fight so far. He'll definitely win before another miss cycle, but
Yeah,
could have been a little better as far as his damage output.
I'm gonna jump just in case.
Alright, very nice. Alright, so once he gets out of this cave, he's actually going to be doing a combination of glitches in rapid succession in order to well, I guess we'll explain them as he does them. So what he
Safe to say.
So what he did there was he took a step to the left and then canceled it by opening his menu before finishing the step. And then that actually shifted Cecil's position without actually updating where he is on the map. And then if he basically does pretty much the same thing again, moving to the right, and then saves and resets the game. He's leaving it powered down for about 15 seconds too as part of the step manipulation route.
Go for it.
That'd be good. Okay, then after he loads his file, he's able to clip through Village Mist completely and go in through the east entrance. Which, my theory is that this is just like leftover debug code or something, because there isn't any point in the story where you're intended to be able to enter Mist from that side. So now, he is selling a lot of nothing for a lot of money, and then buying Dancing Daggers, which is a weapon you're not intended to have access to until quite a bit later in the game, basically until until Cecil has become a paladin and you've returned to Baron. And then he's also, before he burns down the package from the king, he's also going to be looting Rydia's house here for a couple of useful items.
For those of you guys wondering what I was doing, I have a range of seeds that are optimal. Some seeds are better than others, where I have less encounters, earlier grind fight, things like that. And I have a select range, and so at home, it is console and cartridge. Console you're using, so for my specific one, I know that the range of seeds that I'm hitting for is a certain time after I hit my console on, so I literally have my iPhone with a timer, and I timed about 3.5 seconds is my goal, and that will hopefully get me to the range of seeds that is ideal.
So manipulating a specific seed is frame perfect, but with the route he's using, he has a range of, I think it's 6 frames that he's aiming for.
Yeah, 7.
Okay, so yeah, it's a decently generous window if he's using a timer to time it in order to try to get a seed that's, well, this run's going to be a little different because of the extra boss incentives, but like in a typical run, we'd be aiming for a seed that would give us like something in that like high 120s, low 130s range for random encounters.
Right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to actually count the steps in which I get my encounters to know what seed I'm on. And each seed was generously routed out via code by a guy named Exodus. So by counting, I say, okay, I'm going to get an encounter on step 46. I hope. It looks like I actually might have been a little early. So if I get one on 23, I'll just get a little earlier seed. Then it'll tell me where to take steps optimally to not have encounters. So, like I said, some are better than others. I personally think I was a little early, but my goal here is to have 0 encounters to Kaipo, but I could have possibly 1 if I was a little early. It's no big deal. It's just some are better than others. I'll still save time by doing this.
Yeah, no matter what he gets, he's still going to be able to manipulate that grinding fight.
I think I was early.
So we'll see if he gets a fight before he hit them. Alright, looks like he's good.
So I might be in the ideal range. If I thought I was early, the goal is to be on 29. So we'll see. So I will be using my laptop just to start to see where the steps I'll take, and then I can back up and actually run.
Yeah, because like I think No Cash said at the start of the run, your starting seed for random encounters gets set when you power on the game or reset it. Because it's basically when the Final Fantasy II, in this case, title screen is up, the seed is changing every frame. So because we had to reset the game in order to get through Mist, that changed his seed, and then this next like 10 minutes of the run, he's going to be trying to figure out which seed he's on, basically by which tiles he gets encounters on, and in some cases what the monster formations also are.
There's a few mechanics you'll see that I could have shown off here. You can do a run buffer strat to try and avoid the soldiers attacking and have the officer run away a little quicker. I didn't show it off because I was looking at the step route. It's also just a hold A battle Luckily, I had the most optimal fight there is, so it is faster than run buffering, but that's just pure
We'll
luck.
get into run buffering when he gets to the double battles at about the 45-minute mark.
Since the next few portions, the next probably 10 minutes or so, are going to be step manipulations, you're more welcome to do any donations that come in.
That's good because I got plenty.
All right.
We'll start off with a $50 donation from 7 Cents. Hey AGDQ, that FF Month guy here. I want to wish No Cash the best of luck on his run, and I want to thank you guys for all that you do. I lost my dad to bone cancer a few months ago, and being part of the speedrunning community has really helped me deal with my loss. I'm super proud to call myself a speedrunner. Love 7 Sins. Oh, by the way, best Final Fantasy? The entire series, of course.
Thanks, 7 Sins.
We also have a $10 donation from Midnight Vesper. Hey, No Cash. Best of luck to you on the run. Sorry I couldn't donate more. I'm still finishing up my move to a new state. Oh well, let's toss cancer in the trash can when you face Mylon Z.
Thanks, Midnight Vesper.
Alright,
Yes,
so
okay, sorry, go ahead.
if I can butt in just a second
Sure.
here, he's taking this little step to the side here, and that actually makes him exit Kaipo on the east side instead of to the south, like the default, and that actually saves 2 steps of movement in the overworld that would be advancing the step counter for end battles.
Shout out to the LCC for
Yes,
figuring that out.
definitely. I mean, this run is definitely a community effort over the past probably 2 years or so. Lots of different runners, finding optimizations, both big and small, all throughout the game.
I was one off the best possible seed. I was aiming for 129, and I got 128, it looks like, which is like it's 1 frame. So I'm very happy with that. But that is a big difference. Not a big difference, but that's was pretty darn close.
Another thing to point out too, some people might be curious why when he clipped through Mist after using that save and reload trick, why he went in anyway instead of just continuing on. You can do that, and if you do that and don't actually trigger the story progression at Mist, then Tella won't be in the watery pass here. I mean, you can keep going too. You can fight Octomab, the next boss, but the problem with that though is that when you get to Dempsey and Castle, and then the game triggers the the Uspoony Bard battle, then the game will softlock because you don't have Tella. So we want to actually be able to finish the game, so we have to trigger the events in Mist.
So this upcoming room here is a save room. I don't know if it's in the route or not, but this save room is one of the rooms that increases the step counter, but does not get encounters. So he can walk back and forth freely in this room and avoid encounters if the route calls for it.
Very little steps in this one. It's not going to be showing off a lot.
I mean, that's one really kind of thing I find really interesting about running this game with this step manipulation is that depending on what seed you get after that reset, pretty much every run is unique. I mean, unless you're good enough at frame-perfect tricks to be able to force a specific seed, you're almost always going to end up with a different run.
Again, big shout-outs to Accident and myself, 86, for routing out all 256 seeds across multiple different routes.
Yeah, that was
Equipment
huge.
in the run, too.
But the hit, aiming for 129 and missing it by 1 individual frame, I'm really happy with that result, but that's such a small frame of window. It's like 0.02 seconds or something, so I'm really happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, he was basically off by 1/60th of a second.
Yeah, with it, he was basically just using his timer and in some cases the music for the title screen as a cue. There's really any visuals for it. So here he's grabbing the Darkness Sword, which is a weapon upgrade for Cecil. It's going to be useful for the next boss and then the Bubble battles too. But I guess while he's making his way through the rest of the Watery Pass, we can fit a couple more donation comments.
All right, well, I'll finish off Midnight Vesper's donation comment. He says, P.S. I don't understand any one of you all. Everyone knows the best Final Fantasy was Spirits Within.
Oh. Okay, I lied. The reason you may have noticed Rydia, who's only level 1, was only taking 1 damage despite getting hit in the back by attacks from those monsters. And that's because when he was still in Kaipo, Nokash equipped her with the Tiara helmet, which he got in Mist. from Rydia's house. And yeah, Tiara, also known as the Gold Hairpin, is an extremely overpowered piece of equipment at this point in the game, because you're not meant to have access to anything in Myst
until after you've become Paladin.
Yeah, everything he picked up and missed and bought is literally used throughout the entire game. The dancing daggers are used in the final battle. They're extremely overpowered pieces of equipment.
That's not how you spell alligator, by the way. This game has some notable typos in the monster names.
Leviathan.
Yes.
Crocodile says hi too.
You can kind of see my walk to the waterfall was really good. Not a lot of encounters, and then you get here, a lot of encounters. So I won't be showing off too much today because not a lot of extra steps. But the point is that at one point I'll actually get the grind fight, which will help. Yeah, and then also mentioning that if I make one misstep, the step route's over. I could recover possibly, but it's difficult.
So for Octomam here, his main damage dealer is actually Rydia, despite being level 1 and not really having any useful magic, because Rydia is the only one of these characters capable of equipping dancing daggers, which if you throw by just using it out of the, equipping it and then using it from your item menu, just does I believe a non-elemental magic attack that far and away exceeds what Cecil and Tella are capable of doing at this point with no extra grinding at all. But unfortunately, because Rydia is still level 1, she only has 30 hit points, and even though she has a nice boost to her defense stat because of her Tiara, Octomam is still capable of doing quite a bit of damage to her. Like, I believe 16, I think, is the highest possible roll you can get.
The range of damage is from 1 to 18. It's possible for Rydia to get two-shotted in this battle, which is the worst possible outcome. No Cash tried to stop Tella to increase his DPS. Stop was unsuccessful. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. There's not a whole lot he can do about it except for just keep fighting the battle. In addition, he's trying to get as many hits in as he can as quickly as he can, because Octomam's speed is based on how many times he's been hit. So as you see, as the tentacles go away, his speed is decreasing.
Ideally, the turn order would work out too, that you'd have a character's menu up during this text here, because
something you noticed him doing during like the Titan fight in Myst was that he was shuffling some equipment around in his inventory. All the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies let you change your weapon and shield during fights. Ooh, nice crit. And then you can use that mechanic to actually be able to rearrange equipment in your inventory. And then that was a really good fight, actually.
It was really good, yeah. Really good for stop failing.
Yeah. So you can use. So he's going to be using that pretty much any time he has like spare time, because of like in battle text or lengthy spell animations, in order to get any items that he's needing in the near future to the top of the list. Just because the menu in this game is actually pretty slow and laggy compared to the most of the rest of the Final Fantasy series. So he's trying to minimize the amount of time he has to spend in the menu scrolling the cursor up and down.
Before we get to everyone's favorite cutscene, we're going to get to the first part of the step route here. It's going to not seem like anything, because I have to take one additional step towards my step route. There's an optimal route, and if I were to take the left route, I would increase my step counter by 0 optimal steps. But by taking the right route, there's one additional step towards the step counter, which we're going to assume will actually increase, will probably help us avoid an encounter just by doing that.
Yeah, in the Antlion Cave, which is the next dungeon.
Yeah, if he hadn't taken that step, he would have gotten an encounter one step into the next cave.
All right, I think we need the audience here to help us tell Edward what he is in just a second. It's after the second hit. You spoony bird!
You sure is spoony.
This is completely irrelevant to the run, but we'd like to kind of amuse ourselves by counting the number of times Tella actually hits Edward, because his accuracy is extremely low. So if Tella actually hits him all 4 times, that's potentially a sign of good things to come.
I think you're cool. Go for it.
All right, so before I read any more donations, I want to let everybody know that if you want to influence the names of Rosa and Rydia, you need to get your donations in the next couple of minutes because No Cash is getting up towards Antlion. So get those in. So we've got lots of donations. We have actually a $1,000 anonymous donation with no comment, so thanks, Anonymous.
Nice.
We have a $50 anonymous donation that says, even though Final Fantasy VI is not being run this year, all I have to say is, all hail Demon Chocobo. They love you, Poexel.
Thanks for the donation.
Another $50 anonymous donation saying that the best Final Fantasy is 6, no question. We have a $50 donation from Aaron, currently playing Final Fantasy VII while watching Final Fantasy IV. Now that's the best I can imagine. Greetings from Germany. $50 from Second Coolest. What an amazing year. I got emotional when we broke $1 million. This cause is near and dear to my heart. I lost my oldest brother back in August to pancreatic cancer, and this amount of money being raised to fight back is beautiful to see. This is such an amazing community, and I can't wait to see this Final Fantasy IV run. P.S. 6 is the best, hands down. I'm seeing a lot of this, and I agree.
I'm an advocate for Tactics next year.
Tactics
hopefully.
is good. I got $75 from Riaj. Been catching bits and pieces of AGDQ this year, and it's been fantastic. Reverse Boss Order Metroid Link to the Past was insane. Put my money on Final Fantasy X being best. Ha 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 ha!
That was good. You practiced, dude.
What can I say? I love the ridiculous Tidus laugh. So.
Dang, dude.
So there's actually two different routes you can take through this first room of the Antlion's Cave, and they're completely identical as far as the number of steps, whether you go to the